I talk a lot in this episode about my inner masculine. And I realize that even that terminology could be triggering to some, and hey, you know my heart, that's not our intent. What we're looking for is an evolution of both. In that place of unity consciousness, Christ consciousness, it's the evolution of both of these opposing forces that's going to bring us to something new. So rather than like playing with the idea of like masculine and feminine as divisive or as bad, this is also the place where like I've never considered myself a feminist. I fucking love men. I love the masculine. I love the masculine mind. Like, why do I listen to Joe Rogan so much and male comedians? I love the way the masculine mind works, and I love the hearts and the body parts that are attached to the masculine. That's me. It doesn't have to be you. But I don't ever, like, I'm not one who's like, destroy the patriarchy. Yes, there are bad things that have happened. Yes, it needs to be evolved, but I'm here for the fucking evolution. I'm not here for the devolution. I'm not here for the destruction. I'm not here for the teardown, because fuck that. I'm here to participate in something new. So without further ado, hey, I'm going to get you inside to your Cosmic Mama podcast. Cosmic Mama podcast, you say? And I say, what? Huh? So clearly, last time we did a podcast, I was in a swimsuit wearing pearls, and it was my birthday, because 46, y'all. Winter, as we approach solstice, and all I wanted to do is sleep. So I thought I'd come to you today. There's lots of things brewing, so let's just say that. I'm going to do my best to stick with what I've learned this year. Not self-indulgent, so I set an intention that there's a revelation in here that is exactly what you need as well, please. And they're asking that we begin today really nice and slow. So welcome back to the Cosmic Mama podcast. I'm your hostess, Andy Murphy, and we're here today to reflect on 2022. Reflect on healing the masculine within. And invite ourselves into spaces of deeper sovereignty, deeper presence, and the celebration of joy and safety in this body. We're going to open with some sacred space, as we always do. So go ahead and light a candle, light a bowl, light a joint, light all three at once. 'Tis the season. And allow yourself to step out of the mundane and into the sacred with the Cosmic Mama. And the ask today is to move into a state of softness and stillness. To drop down into that safety, into that void of you. And to recognize at this nearing of solstice, everything is quiet. Everything is deep yin. Set an intention now to receive something today that heals you. An awareness, a parallel, that soothes and brings you exactly to the healing you need. As we invite in spirit, as we invite in those ancestors who are well in spirit, we'll ask those ancestors to carry the heavy so that we are allowed to be more free. Curious, playful, open, new. With that, the goddess Nuit is coming in. The night sky goddess Nut, or the mother of all goddesses, Mut. Opening your eyes when you're ready. And today I sat down and I did my year in review. Not that Spotify thing, that's cool and that's great, but somehow today felt like the day to reflect. And in that reflection, I was able to see the string that I had been working on all year. So I'm going to do my best today to share that process of healing with you. And I'll do my best not to get too tangential with things because there's stories in all of it. And I want to just kind of begin this journey today by thanking my sweet friend Jennifer Way, over at the Self-Consciousness podcast, because she was the one who kind of first introduced this idea. And she called it a series that she was working on, HIM, H-I-M, Healing the Inner Masculine. And I realized that 2022 was lots of fucking things. Oh my God, y'all. And while it can feel overwhelming or frightening or irritating or overwhelming, what I want to instead reflect back to you was we fucking did it. My experience was that the blows kept coming so quickly that all you could do was like, okay, and get back up, right? Weebles wobble, but we don't fall down. That was 2022. So allowing yourself the time to reflect on what it was. I pulled out my journals this morning, the 3 journals that I used last year. I pulled out my Magic of I calendar because boy, oh boy, do I love that one. And I allowed myself to sit with all versions of me. I used to, once upon an Andy, I would do card readings for the year ahead. I loved them. It was very ceremonial to participate in that. And then I think into 2020 and 2022, I'm like, fuck that. 2020. Yeah, I haven't done it for a couple of years now. Because with the blow of 2020, I felt very ill prepared for it, and I felt maybe a little betrayed that I didn't see it coming. I recognized that was a blessing. To know it was coming and to fear that would have been a lot. Yep. So I think I just want to say, I don't know what the fuck I was setting my intention for 2022. Probably survival in some way. Because in this cold climate, it's a lot for me at times. So where I can say my journey of 2022 began was with that 2-2 portal. And I have very clear, I did a lot of ceremony on that day. It was a huge snowstorm on that day. I received a blessing that day from a neighbor who came and shoveled my driveway while my daughter and I were recovering from COVID. He didn't know that was occurring. Healing with the masculine. It was the first time that I felt like the masculine came in to support me, to help me. And on that day, I will just say his name is Morgan. Mr. Morgan is what I call him because I'm a good Southern girl. He lives at the end of my block and he always decorates immaculately. And throughout this year, so on that day, we're casual neighbors. We wave, we talk a little bit. On that day that he came in to support, I needed an answer to a prayer that I didn't know I was asking for. And I went to the door looking, fucking COVID rough. Tired, not good. Come on. We got a guest joining us. No, I haven't. See that guest? Mm-hmm. Isn't she the sweetest guest? Oh, yes, she is. I went to the door just in my fucking worst, with tears in my eyes, and I said, thank you. And he's like, why are you so emotional? And I said, I feel loved. And he said, well, of course I love you. Cut to many months later, a few conversations later, and as he and I were sitting at his house on Halloween, I was doing a little bit of energy work on his hand that was hurting. I asked him when his birthday was, because I knew he was a Cancer, like me. We share the same fucking birthday. Healing. Here's this mirror version of me who's just a couple doors away, who's able to do things with his house and yard that I have no clue how to do. So, and he said to me that night, he's like, I do it all for y'all. I do it for the neighborhood. I don't do it for me. I do it for the neighborhood. I do it for the joy. New masculine. So on that 2-2, as I was in my deep ceremony, my prayer and my intention for that day was I wanted to hand over all of my masculine to my masculine self. The intention that I sat with was that I was handing my will over to Ra, sun god, right? If anybody can do light and strength, Ra. The Hekau that I anchored that in with. Okay, doesn't want to be shared. I thought it did, no problem. But in that day, instead of me wanting to be loved, which I think was my lifelong wound, was to be seen. And that when I was seen, I would be loved. And that was not how my marriage went. I might have been seen, but I wasn't loved. And with twin flame, well, you know, it's a twin flame. It's a different story. So on that 2-2, my intention was, instead of wanting these things from the outside, I identify as love. I identify as beauty. Libra rising. I identify as beauty. And not in like, I'm pretty, but as that sense of beauty and wonder and things that are good in this world. I identify as love. I identify as beauty. I began my healing with the masculine, asking my inner masculine to use that fire to step in more. Because in my yin state, in my feminine self, I think I learned that in 21. I think she Sahat through that meditation portal was really teaching me how to be in the void and how to be in. You can go back to whatever episode that was on the Shining Darkness. Like, that was that lesson. Fucking yeah. I know the power of the feminine, and I know the power of my stillness. I think. I'm learning. How about that? So that was February, where things began to crack out of the deep, deep depression and into possibilities again. So by the Libra moon, interesting, I realized on the Libra moon, that Libra moon of 2020, I was talking to a paramour online who I was about to meet. And I was excited to use that moon to meet him. And that was when Twin Flame showed up and shattered reality. That's what that was. Libra moon of 2021, I had a new paramour show up that was equally destructive. And the lesson of that was I got him in and out in 2 months. He was really dangerous to my well-being. So I was able to like move through that very quickly. So as the Libra moon of 2022 is coming up, I'm like, oh yeah, I see the pattern. So we are not calling in any partnership. My anchoring for that day is divine counterpart is within. The divine counterpart is within. My divine counterpart is within. And I will say, my astrology from lovely Olivia Woodford, who we've had on the podcast before. I love the way that she sees things. And her explanation of my North Node in Scorpio, South Node in Taurus. I've served kings every lifetime. I have served the masculine in every lifetime and hidden behind them and made them more powerful. This is the lifetime that I don't get to fucking do that. This is the lifetime that is all for me. Nuke Unin Nabat. Nuke Unin Nabat. Those who know. Nuke Unin Nabat. So recognizing this divine counterpart is within, recognizing that my own masculine is what needs to be healed and tended, asking for help from my own masculine, because I don't always know how to do those things like discipline and structure. And time, what? I don't care. I flow in and out of those things very differently. But I began with that moon to call joy back into this body. Hey, call my light back to me. And I did a reset that day, that month of April, that I'll just call the John reset. John was my first soulmate. I met John when I was 16. He was probably 19. And for 6 years, he and I had quite the soul love affair, but never physical because of the age difference. But John was so good to me. He was kind and he was ambitious and we had great conversations and he was respectful and he was loving. And he was good to me in a way that I did not feel like I deserved. So I rejected him. And because I was probably, 21 at that point, it was brutal. It was gross. It was the 90s. 90s in Austin. I have apologized. I didn't know how to handle it better. And I forgive myself for that. But with the John reset, I intentionally went back through timelines, went back through my lived experience as Andy, and I reset back to John. Back to a man who knew how to love me and a man who wanted to love me. Because what I can see, I was brainwashed into liking the bad boy. TV, media, all of it. The bad boy is what felt appealing and felt like something to me. So I liked the bad boy. Fucking bad program. And also on that day, I cleared all of my toxic addictions to love. The neediness, the craving, the feeling not like I needed to be in partnership. Oh, feeling like I would be safe. And I can see that with my ex-husband. Like, why did I pick him? I thought I would be safe. I mean, I liked the way his brain worked, and I really liked some attributes on him. Wasn't enough for a 15-year marriage to make, but I called joy and love back into this body, and I reset very intentionally back to an imprint of the masculine who is not destructive to me. I also, in that month, participated in a William Henry class. I love William Henry. I will sing his praises over and over. And he was doing a teaching on the pearl. The pearl. And I can remember, clearing my schedule to do that teaching. And just moving through this body, so good. Okay, so ready? What happens next? Ready for May? Do you remember what happens in May? Harry's house arrived in this world. As soon as I heard that Harry Styles album, everything in me came back to life. No fucking joke. I also did a mushroom ceremony that month, so helped. But as soon as I heard that Harry album, I'm like, oh my God, there is a frequency of joy in this world. And if that's fucking available, I'm living it. I am living that vibration. And I did spend a couple of solo dance parties with Harry and mushrooms and just lived in that frequency and amplified that frequency. And every song, some more than others, like may every being who feels this feel this. In one of those ceremonies, new masculine, right? So Harry is showing up as a very new imprint, template. I was trying to say template and imprint at the same time. Imprint of a new masculine. Thank you, Harry. In one of those ceremonies, I also was met for the first time by my brother. My brother from many lifetimes ago. And he connected something that occurred for me in 2016 to right now. And he's like, "Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet?" Oh, I didn't know that's, oh shit, I didn't know that's what was going on. And he did a really powerful initiation for me that night, leading into the realms of Maya and Atlantis. And his love coming back online with total patience, total devotion and dedication was big. That same ceremony, one of my crystal skulls started talking really loud. Came through as the spirit of the lineage of my ex-husband. That is obviously the lineage that inhabits my daughter. And this being offered to be an ally to protect my daughter, to heal the lineage behind her. And he kept saying to me, "You contributed a lot to this lineage. I did my best to love my ex-husband, to bring him to the places of healing that he isn't going." So to have those beings step forward, and Olmec is kind of the best that I can get to. I didn't understand necessarily what it was. The skull was very specific. It was a very thicker, darker energy than what's in my lineage. And it asked for mapacha, ceremonial tobacco. So I've been using tobacco since, and the spirit of tobacco introduced himself to me for the first time. I have tried. Holy fuck, y'all, can I tell you? I have tried for years. My love affair with tobacco. I quit smoking in 2019. I smoked briefly through my divorce. So in 2019, like, breakup, doesn't get to come into my body again. So with the mapacho, like, does not get to come in my body, but can be in my field. And so this being still very strong ally, and my experience with the spirit of tobacco, he came in like the most interesting man alive, like very seductive, very powerful, very loving. But I needed to have clear boundaries, which I do. You're not allowed in my body, not allowed in my bed, not allowed in my body, not allowed in my bed. I've contributed enough to this lineage, and now you protect. Right around that time, David Wilcock came out with a new video, and we've talked here about what David Wilcock, or at least over in Patreon, because I know he can be tricky for some. For me, Wilcock has held a string of resonance since I began listening to him in I don't know. Might have been like 2006. Ever since I found him, something in him was familiar to me. And then our time at Gaia overlapped a little bit, so frequencies, and then he's still in Colorado. Sorry, regardless. He came through with this idea, with this teaching, of the valiant Thor. And as soon as he began talking about the valiant Thor and these beings from Venus who had incarnated here in the 70s, lived on Earth, I fell to my knees and I began to cry. I was like, oh my God, that's him. I still don't know what the fuck that means, valiant Thor, so we'll just kind of keep that one in the field of, I know a pattern. I don't know shit. June was birthday. You don't need my month by month. Let me just keep staying with this masculine string. Healing the masculine. Seeing new glimpses of the masculine. In July, I did a beautiful theta session with Marilyn because Neptune was really ready to come in. Neptune? What the fuck? And getting down into Neptune, through my session with Marilyn and in my subsequent work on my own. Well, that is home. Holy shit. Neptune is home. Neptune makes total sense to me. Still working through that relationship with Neptune, but like, familiar in these bones. And as I began to work with Neptune, continuing my work with Tobaquito, safe in me. And I began going to lots of live music, lots of live comedy, and not hiding anymore. Solstice and summer baby and Cancer energy, like it all helps, right? That summer energy certainly helps. That spring energy, ooh yes, coming back to life. I danced in ways that I've never danced before. I went to Duncan Trussell comedy by myself. Fuck yeah, I did. And whenever you're a party of one, guess what? You get spot right at the front. Thank you very much. Safe in me, safe to be me. Safe in this body. We had all of the Dream School teachings that came in. That would have been April, May, June, I think. And Dream School really anchored something in me. The way that those teachings came through as lived experience, the way that Dream School became Mystery School and not just a transmission. Because what I did in 2020 and part of 2021, I went feverishly into teaching and into the mysteries in order to make money, in order to distract myself from the pain, in order to stay focused, like workaholic. Sure, it's in admirable ways, maybe, because it's spiritual pursuits. I should also mention that in January of 21, this is probably where the story should have started, I broke up with Priestess. I had people who had been in my containers that I had trusted pretty deeply, who told me that I was unfit to lead. And I felt like in some way, through my trauma of 2020 and 2021, I wasn't walking my talk enough. And for me, High Priestess was an obligation to deities and to beings who I don't fucking resonate with now. And so I cut all cords. Severed all relationships. This would have been January 2022. Nope, I belong to me. That's it. Fuck it. I'm done. Not beholden to anyone who I made promises to in past lives, to any deities. Like nobody who is not fucking here now, we're done. And again, I probably could have done that more gracefully. I was scared. I was hurt. I was wounded. I was rejected. And not just rejected from like strangers, but rejected from the people who I trusted the most. Yeah, and we've all gone through this, right? Yeah, whatever. Thank you. So coming into August, I knew that Dream School was coming. I knew that there was a new Akashic that was wanting to come through me that had been trying to come in for a couple of years. And I didn't, I'm surrendering to the masculine. I don't know. So one day in August, I gave myself to a day with Thoth just to listen, just to hang out, just to play. It's his day. And I'll just share a couple of the snippets from that day because it was really good. There are no victories. It's all life and you're in it. Yeah. I'm not looking for this thing. I think in the past I traveled a lot to enjoy life. I would set these things up outside of me in order to enjoy, in order to like have something to look forward to. Kind of crumbled in the last couple of years, kind of do that. And what I found this summer was I enjoyed being home more than I enjoyed traveling. What the fuck is that? And not that my travel was bad, but there were just, nothing was smooth. It was me trying an old paradigm of being the traveler. Sorry, I got a kitty down here who, God, she's fucking precious. And she sheds, y'all. So I'm itching my face a lot and grooming a kitty. Grooming my puss. Grooming that puss. the other thing that Thoth shared that day is to access the now as your only win. There is no victory. It's all in life, and you're in it. To access the now as your only win. How fucking cool, right? So it's brought me to these states of presence, these places of forgiveness, these places of trust in the now, because thanks. That's the bigger teaching that I think I got through dream school. So the truth of reality is joy, right? I've been talking about that for fucking ever. And in 2022, I got to live it. I'm like, oh, wait, I fucking get it. Oh, my God, I get it. 46 years on this planet, probably. I know, thanks. I've been awake for fucking ever. I think that's another podcast that I'll be doing here soon because it's kind of sweet right now. I know how to find the joy in the moment instead of running away for it. I know the trees of my neighborhood. I know the song of the wind when she's enticing me outside. And this winter, the big ask, can I learn the magic of the snow and ice? Instead of going into a state of depression and whiny shutdown in the winter when it gets cold. Okay, I hope so. We're going to sidebar with the story, but it's not really a sidebar. It's so crucial to everything that we're doing here. Crucial. It's not crucial. Let's fucking get over ourselves. But like, to me, when does the story really shift? And it's with the quince. The quince. The long story of this, Quince, Twin Flame lived here with me, and his first love was a young woman named Quince. So I heard often of his worship of her and of what they created together. And I say worship very intentionally, because his wound was he put the feminine on a pedestal, and whenever they became human, he would be crushed. He needed the feminine, and it's a mother horror type of thing, perhaps. It's his story, not mine to tell. But he pedestalized. And then as soon as they became human, he was wounded. So Quince was of lore throughout my house. Quince was probably something that I was trying to match for him sexually. Trying to be that thing that he was always trying to capture again. I wasn't. I didn't. So when he came through in 2020, after we had spent 4 years together and had really beautiful, severing of things, April of 2020, he shows up unexpectedly in this state and introduces me to the woman he's going to marry and leaves the country. Shortest version of it. Summer of 2020, I get a fucking thorn in my foot that doesn't let me walk or hike or go camping or enjoy the things that I love to do. Summer of 2020, right? It's not hard enough. And then I have this pain, literal pain in my foot. It came out really fucking cool. I'll just say that. The way it came out was fucking alien thing. Just one day rose out of my body and left. That was great. Thank you so much. So spring of 2021, I'm curious what this plant is. Where is this and how did it get here? Because I don't want to step on it again. I found the fucking plant. It was everywhere in my yard. And I began, did I trim it back? I may have trimmed it back a little bit that year, but I was aware of it. Spring of this year, I recognize that plant is beginning to flower. And it's these lovely, luscious pink flowers. Thank you. And you remember, I'm plant spirit girl. I love my plants. I love my trees. Listening. So as these flowers began to spring up, I was like, oh my God, aren't you lovely? But then also finding all of the thorns that were three areas of my yard where these huge fucking thorny bushes are that could, you know, be a threat at any moment in time. And I began to trim them back. So by the fall, it's beginning to fruit. Oh my God. I have so many pictures. I'll put up some pictures for you because it began to fruit. It began to blossom. This thing that had been untended, ignored, forgotten about. Like nobody's clearly paying attention to this plant except me, who, like, I don't know, my house was built in the 50s. Who's loved this plant since then? So the fruit, I was getting so excited. Oh my gosh, knowing that it was coming. And then the lore. Oh my gosh, the lore of the quince. Do you know this? For the Greeks, it's like the ambrosia. If you hear stories of the apple, sometimes with Eve, also with the Nordics, right? Those golden apples of, oh, what's her name? There's apples. They say it's more often quince than apple. So it's ancient. It's of Venus. It smells floral, but is super sour. Like, yeah, there's so much. There's so much. And so I just began to have this great love affair with these like budding fruits that had never shown themselves to me before. That September, Thoth began playing a little bit differently as we were getting ready for Activate. He really stepped in and he's like, this is mine. This is my dream school. No, sorry, this is my mystery school. And I'm leading it. And I'm calling them to you. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. He did a crazy time warp for me there at the end of September. Where, like, I don't know how time moved. I don't know how it stopped. I can't even fathom how much I got done in that September, October, in that Libra energy. Coming out of Virgo and into Libra, I felt so supported. I felt so productive. I felt so good. I have made my daughter, the center of my reality, because that was what she needed from me. Masculine as well, right? New masculine. How can I step in to provide for her? I know how to mother her. I know how to love her. I know how to be there emotionally for her. Can I do these other things as well? That's been a big part of my journey this year. I had some priestesses that showed up here in October. People who I've loved, people who you have probably loved, and I've worked with online for years. And we all got together for the first time, and oh my fuck. Like the love expands was kind of like part of that lesson, and to have these experiences of radical love that changed me, and not conceptual love, but experience of I'm safe and I'm loved. Even in my messy fucking living room at times. Oh, I'm still lovable? So I'm calling October stepping into power season. I got the love of my priestesses that showed up in my house. My house changed itself radically and drastically. I have 2 new rooms in my house that did not exist before. And that's not like magical anything. It was just, I gave purpose to them. I did Remington's 40 Days of Abundance, where we were tying up loose ends. And I did shit in this house that I've never done before. And none of it was done with resentment or anger or shoulds. It was all done with like joy. There was this new frequency, right? And I can thank Ra for that. Can you take over my fire? Can you show me how to have this natural energy that arises from me? In October, more newness with the masculine. I had a client who gifted me generously. And he's like, this is for the temple. Huh. Yeah. Wow, it is. He also showed me a blueprint of like being able to make my business more successful. Yeah, I'm going to listen to that. That's great. From a man who's had great success. From a man who I love and who loves me in a way that doesn't cross any boundaries at all. Fucking cool. In October, I began to reach out to a lawyer about custody for my daughter. Wow. That's a long time coming. From living in fear, I got into my relationship when I was 23, divorced at 40. That relationship wounded me in every conceivable way, and I'm sure he would say the same, because isn't this what we do? But I've been scared of him, even away from him, cleaning up the trauma of that relationship. And I realized I was scared of my authority because I didn't have any authority. So here I am talking about sovereignty when I really don't have any, because I don't have any power, because I'm still scared of an ex-husband's destruction of me. So in October, burn it all down. Burn it all the fuck down. Burn it all the fuck down. Okay, hey, Scorpio season, isn't that perfect? So rock and roll shaman needs to be burnt all the way down. Rebranding, feels like so much. We'll see where that wants to go. But a new version of me is coming. A new version that is integrated with her masculine. Hey. I also receive these amazing gifts from clients. From male clients. These experiences with men that broke the paradigm for me. That allowed me to receive in ways that didn't make it transactional. And I recognized that I was being seen by the masculine. Was I all along? Perhaps. Is the masculine now able to see me? Perhaps. I don't know what the fuck that story is, but that wound in me. Oh, wait. The masculine does see me, and I see my masculine. Hey, so that brings us pretty up to date, right? But then in November, holy fuck. I went on a date for the first time in a long time with somebody. Well, I don't think we need to get into too much of it. What I will say is I experienced with the masculine safety. Not a safety from him needing to protect and rescue me, which is certainly my old pattern. Save me. Or partnership or love is going to make everything better. Or I'm going to have a man who's going to come in here and like be able to provide for me. That shit isn't happening. I had a man who helped me feel safe. Not because he was trying to, but because that's who he was. And I just loved how he was reflecting that back to me. Safe. Honest. I got to engage like 100% as myself. It wasn't scary. It was so fucking easy. I wasn't trying to get anything from him. I wasn't trying to secure anything from him. So it allowed me to really recognize, like, what do I want in a relationship? Do I want a relationship? Well, I certainly don't want to be married again. I didn't know that before. I don't need to be beholden to that idea at all. No. Oh my gosh. I called it off after a couple of weeks because, and that calling it off for me was massive. Because in the past, I would wait for him to maybe want me more. And in this, anyone who was with us on the meditation that day, like I just cried. I wasn't talking about what was going on, but like it was clear what I needed to do, which the lesson of that was I protect me. I don't leave myself vulnerable for somebody who is not ready for me or, and that was just the case. Like he wasn't ready for what I bring. And it was so not personal. Had nothing to do with me. No. But it reminded me that chemistry exists. It reminds me that connections exist. It reminded me that, that little verbal play that I like. Oh, that's all there again. Fucking cool. In this month of November, I also am working with a male client. Holy fuck. A male client who says, like, how may I be more radiant? A male client who says, how can I be of more service? Oh my God, I did not know men like that existed. And in his communication with me, immediately responsive. And I'm like, oh, it feels good when you do this. And me expressing that in a way that is not sexual, that is not needing anything from him, that is not at all contrived. Like, I really appreciate when. And that's where I'm showing up with the masculine. There's something new that's happening, right? We're healing, they're healing. I'm healing my own inner masculine. They're healing their own inner feminine. There's new that gets to come in here. New possibilities, new ways of engaging, new ways of healing, new ways of love, new ways of honesty, new ways of partnership, new ways of creation. That's what I'm here for. New ways of creation. How do we use our alchemy to create something new together? Because a whole new world is here, boo, as you very well know. Everything from the old is being burnt down. Has to. We can't take any pieces of that. We're like, well, we think we could just restructure it. No, you fucking can't. It's got to be all new. And how do we find that all new? Well, we find it from the all new spaces of ourselves. We find it from the void, not from anything that's been created before. In my partnership with Thoth to bring through Activate, it was no longer Nadia's teachings alone that I was relying on. 2020, 2021, I went totally into the Egyptian mysteries. I began like harvesting everything. This partnership with Thoth. Well, I guess I'm still digesting a lot of it. Still Mersefing my way through it. But what came forward was mine and ours. It wasn't just Nadia's. I got to introduce within that container my brother who showed up in April. That soul brother with great teachings and great wisdom who holds all of the access to Atlantis. What? To share him with that group, for them to feel him. And he fucking showed up in Black Panther, like, no joke. He was in Black Panther by name, as was Sekhmet by name. What? Wakanda forever, indeed. I got to see these things that were no longer just internal become manifest in the world, which is always the ask, which is always the hope. And not just the hope, but like it's the prayer, right? We don't want to just think that what these things that we're doing, that they're either mental experiments or that they are, like, it's not just hopeful. Is it real? Is it real? I've learned in this year of 2022. What is our year? 2022? Fuck yeah, it's real. It's real and it's powerful and it's good and the world is changing. And we need you in your healed state to participate with others in their healed state. And not that healed is like a destination. No, no, no. But to be able to engage honestly and presently. To not engage with the old stories and the old wounds and that baggage coming into whatever you're doing. Nope. Set that shit down. When did we do that with Saged? I don't know. One of the ceremonies that we did with Saged, it might have been that Pisces moon one, Pisces full moon. It was really beautiful where they're like, dissolve every version of you who existed before now so that you just show up to this one. Just show up to this one and fall in love with it every day. Cool. Yeah. No fucking stories. No wounds carried forward. No patterns that are being reenacted and played out over and over. I'm fucking tired of that. And I can tell as soon as I loop, and I'm like, oh, that's familiar. Had one this morning. Oh, that's familiar. I'm not going to do that again. So remember the world that you create. Remember what you're participating in, which is the healing and the evolution of. And so anytime those old pieces show up, it's okay. They're allowed to show up. They just aren't necessarily true. in this space of new masculine, I want to work with more men. Like, fucking yes, yes, please, please. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, yeah, this is a very clear invitation for the men. There's a new modality. I want to practice something that's coming through from Dream School. I think we know how to do this. And in that same place, the way that I'm working with a couple of male clients right now, it's new. It's not anything that I've done before, and it's both of us showing up more honestly, and where can this evolve to? Yeah. Because intimacy, for me, is the fucking name of the game. Can we be intimate without crossing any boundaries, without it needing to be sexual, without it being transactional? Like, what does true intimacy and the safety of this container of me show up like? Yeah. And I'm watching the new masculine show up everywhere. When I got my fucking tires. Oh yeah, new masculine. Wanted to make sure that I was safe. What? Huh? Talked to one of my longtime loves yesterday. He is a shaman out of London. And I was sharing with him, where I'm at with this new masculine practice and the play of it, because it's just completely delightful and paradigm breaking, right? That's what I'm in. Paradigm breaking. And I say this just so that you know, like, how to move into it as well. I mean, clearly, I laid out for you a fucking year or 3 of like the wounding of where this has been coming from so that you could see the evolution of where it lands. And as I was telling him I wanted to work with more masculine, he's like, Andy, you know that you're just calling in the outside what needs to be healed inside. I'm like, yeah, I totally get it. Totally get it. With the young man, a decade younger than me, that I went on a date with, I also saw in him, because he was cancer man. Like, oh, I just want to, like, the way that he made me feel safe, can I do that for myself? Like, everything that I see, like, as a mirror, can I learn how to do that? Can I learn how to do that? We're in a great hologram right now. A great mirror of all of your healing. But you have to be the one who's big enough to, like, yeah, want to play in a new story, not in the old one. Don't need that. I mean, if you're looking for that toxicity or that patterning or that wound to keep being reflected to, it will. Clear that shit, would ya? Don't need to keep holding it. Thanks. We're going to do over on Patreon an activation today. An activation that is a continuation of this. In the past, we did it on the podcast, and what I'm realizing is, like, doing it on the podcast, doing it on Patreon, like activation. No, we're going to make that Patreon thing that we do an activation that goes along with this. So if you'd like to join us, Luminous Mysteries over at Patreon is where we gather. We do weekly meditations. I do a monthly Akashic update with an activation, but we're going to do a separate podcast activation today because I'm feeling it. What can I say? And a wish to you that you may be able to go through your year and find the radical growth as well. Not just the journey, but the victories of it, as Thoth said. The victories in being in the now, being new in this now. And in that newness, you know nothing. Any place that you failed before, tried that before, didn't work before, nope. Old fucking story, nope. Who is this you who has never done any of this, and how does it go? And does it fill you with joy? Joy, my love. Joy, name of the game. Joy. Because joy is the truth underneath this reality. Getting back to joy through the suffering. What the fuck is that? Done with that story. Done. And thank you. If you know fellas who are ready for some radical reflection, for some priestessy alchemy, fuck yeah, send them my way, please. And it doesn't mean I'm not working with my lovely ladies, because do I know y'all and how to move through it. In-office healings have been out of this fucking world, blowing my mind. And it doesn't mean that I like one better than the other, but when you lay on the table, very different things come in. Long distance? Ooh, we can do that too. So I want to say, in my now, in my love, I have no idea what's next. No clue. And I'm okay with that. Because I protect me and I trust me. And I'm safe with me. And you can probably even hear in my cadence, I'm not trying so hard. So this new self-love practice, which is what it's been for me this year. Fuck yeah. I love you so very much. Can't wait for more time with you. And I don't even want to just say the new year. But like, I feel this and I like this. And sometimes I don't show up here because I've been so prolifically healing and talking it through with girlfriends. So like, where does my talk energy go? Oh, it goes through my tribe and through that network of support. I don't even journal as much as I used to. Isn't that funny? I'm like, oh, I'm talking it all out. And so sometimes I talk it all out there and then I don't bring it here, but I'll see if I can do better to bring the ahas to you. Is that how we say it still? Aha? Was it an aha? To bring the juice of the work to you. Because I have been doing this work my whole fucking life. Doing this level of work maybe for a year. And it's not that the work just gets easier. It's not so burdened. It's not so burdensome. It's not so shadowy. It's not so dark. It's not so cruel. And Lynette Duncan, Oracle of Your Soul, like self-love, more self-love, more self-love. I mean, bless him. Matt Kahn hasn't even been talking about this forever. Oh, this is what you mean for me this year. I'm going to love my masculine self and feel really safe here. There's no part of me that's not lovable. All you saw. Happy New Year and many blessings for whatever ceremonial states you move into and through. And I can't wait to see you on the other side.